Welcome to Overcaffeinated and Out of Effs, the podcast for burned out, career-minded moms who are ready to stop pretending everything's fine and feel like themselves again. I'm your host, Christy Amir, burnout coach for moms, licensed therapist, and mom of two. And I'm here to help you reclaim your energy, your identity, and your peace of mind. Whether you're lying awake thinking about the 87 things you didn't get done, or silently resenting the people you love most, this is your space to feel seen, supported, and not so alone. So grab your coffee, hot, cold, or day old, and let's get into it. Hey everybody, it's Christy. Welcome to Overcaffeinated and Out of Effs. In today's episode, I'd like to welcome our guest, Ashley Bandemer. Ashley is a proud mom and multi-passionate entrepreneur driven by family, purpose, and community. She founded the Bandemer Agency, a Midwest-based virtual assistant and social media company helping business owners reclaim their time and grow with confidence. She also co-owns Little Legends Party Company, a kids event rental business bringing joy and creativity to family celebrations. Family is the heart behind everything Ashley does. It's what inspires her to build businesses that give others the same freedom, balance, and joy she's created for herself. So I've invited Ashley here today to share a little bit about her personal story of juggling multiple businesses while parenting pretty much entirely on her own during the week because as she told me before, her husband is actually gone for work from Monday through Thursday. So she does a lot of this really solo parenting during the week and also without really having a huge support system locally. So she's just going to talk a little bit about her story with us. So Ashley, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited.
Thank you. I am excited too. Do you mind just by starting off and telling us a little bit about yourself, your family, your work? Like, what does life look for you these days in regards to all the things, running your businesses, raising your son, taking care of your puppy, all of those things?
Yes. Yeah. So I am 27 years old. We recently, I guess I maybe shouldn't say recently anymore. We've been in South Dakota now for 3 years. Carson and I both grew up in Minnesota and kind of went opposite Dakotas for college and decided where we wanted to plant our roots was in South Dakota, which I love, but we don't know anyone in the town that we live in. And there's not a lot to do here. So there's not a lot of opportunities to meet people. So that's been interesting. And then we had our son 19 months ago already. His name is Carter. He's the light of my life. I always laugh. We're going through terrible twos right now too. So,
Oh boy.
but it's been so much fun. It's completely changed who I am as a person. I wouldn't be an entrepreneur if it wasn't for him. I would not be working and doing the things that I'm doing if it wasn't for him changing my world completely. Right after his first birthday in March, we ended up getting a yellow lab puppy. And 3 weeks after we got Coda, Carson got called to do a job that put him out of the house Monday through Thursday. So he is 2.5 hours away in a hotel Monday through Thursday, and we just roll with those punches. We get it done, and we just kind of roll with it.
Oh my goodness. So you are busy. A lot of
Yes.
things happening.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, so these businesses, you said that you really started them, you were motivated to start them because of your new role as a mom, right? So
Yep.
can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like what inspired you to start your very first business and then how did it evolve from there?
Yeah. So I'm grateful that when I was pregnant, I worked a 9-to-5 job, went into the office every day, and they gave me 6 weeks of maternity leave. And as I'm grateful for that, because I know some people do not get that at all, we couldn't even go get our dog at 6 weeks because it was inhumane to take the dog away from its mother before 8 weeks. So that seemed so broken to me. So
Yeah.
I started figuring out what are the skills that I already have that I can turn into a business for myself so I can stay home with my child and I can quite frankly just make my own schedule. And I kept seeing virtual assisting stuff come up And I really took a deep dive into that and started the agency. So now we help moms mostly, but really any small business owner with being able to put their computer away at the end of the day. And if that's to spend time with family or if that's to go out and do things that they actually like doing, that's our goal. And we only, so at the agency, we're all moms. And that's my
Mhm.
biggest thing is that if I felt like the system was broken and I felt that I wasn't ready to go back to work at 6 weeks, most parents aren't either. So
Mhm.
whether the girls work that are working for me are full-time or it's just extra money to help afford diapers and food and all the things that come with kids, that's my goal with hiring everyone, and then it's on the flip side, like I had said, it's to be able to help moms and parents be able to close their computers. And from there, it kind of evolved. Actually, one of the ladies that work for me, it's a really good friend of mine, we were just chatting one day, and we were like, "What can we do that also helps our communities?" And I know when I was trying to find stuff for Carter's first birthday, I couldn't find things, and I'm a very over the top overdoer.
Mhm.
And I wanted, like, cute bounce houses, and I wanted balloon arches, and I wanted a bunch of stuff, and I couldn't find it. So that's how Little Legends came into place of there's just no places where you can rent things for little kids. Now there's the big
Mhm.
bounce houses and the big things that are kids, like, 10 and up, but what do you do with a one-year-old? So that's where Little Legends came into place. We have sensory bins and ball pits, and we just made it so that parents on the day of birthday parties and celebrations, it's already so crazy, and I always have to plug that if you're a mom, like, the
Mhm.
odds are is you're getting yourself ready, you're getting all the kids ready, you're probably getting your husband a little bit ready, um and you're getting the party ready. So why not take that stress off of moms because it's insane trying to do things
Mhm.
to get everyone ready. Why have to do the party too?
Yes. No, and I have to say, I mean, birthday parties, I know that they are so much fun, especially for the kids, and they are just wonderful experiences and create all these wonderful memories. But as a mom myself, I do not enjoy planning them. They're
No.
so stressful, so it sounds like you really, you thought about that and you really did do a lot to take the stress off of moms. And it sounds like, really with both of your businesses, it sounds like you are just sort of you really have that same goal and that passion and drive just to really help and support other working moms or other moms, really, not just working moms, but other moms in general because of your own personal experiences.
Yeah,
So that is
absolutely.
awesome. So you've described yourself before as being multi-passionate. So what does that really mean to you? You've obviously started both of these businesses, right? But what does that mean to you, like as a mom and an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think I always put this in the perspective of that work-life balance,
Hmm.
and maybe I'm unpopular opinion, but there's just no such thing as a
Hmm.
work-life balance. So I take my 2 passions of working and being an entrepreneur, but then wanting to be a mom and be the best mom that I can possibly be in
Hmm.
such consideration. So I know that there are days where I am a really good business person. I
Hmm.
am kicking butt, I am doing good things, I am being a great business person. Maybe not the greatest mom that day,
Hmm.
and vice versa. The days that I am spending the entire day with Carter, we are coloring, we are doing activities. I'm not that great of a business person that day, and that's okay, and that's where my 2 passions lie, are within those categories, and now, like, family time is family time, business time is business time, and just trying to know that it's okay to not have that balance, but as long as I'm feeding both those passions,
Hmm.
I feeling fulfilled as a woman.
Hmm. No, and I agree with you. And I think it's really, and it's interesting that you say that because I've had other people sort of suggest similar things in terms of how they think about it. Like just the other day, I was talking to somebody and she was like, "Oh, I don't think about it as work life balance. I think about it as work life harmony." Right. And so people have different ways of thinking about it. The way I've always sort of thought about it is is balanced, but not in the sense of like 50-50. Like it's all
Right.
going to be like this and this. Like to your point, there are going to be some days where your time and energy and attention are just going to be more needed over here, and other days they're going to be more needed over here. And how does that, like, what does that ideal like balance look like for you and for your family, which is going to be different for everybody, and it's going to be different based on the day, right?
Right.
So, but I think it's essentially like that same idea, like what you're saying. Like, it's okay to prioritize this thing this one day and acknowledge that that just maybe means you're going to give a little bit less of yourself to this other thing. And then a different day, it might look different. So that makes sense. So, going back to, you mentioned that like this summer in particular is really when things started to get challenging for you. I think that's challenging for you. I think that's when you had said your husband had like started this new job and you
Yeah.
started, doing the long distance thing, and him traveling. So, can you tell me a little bit about what that time really looked and felt like for you on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. Yeah. This summer was, I would probably say this summer was the hardest summer of my life because I was newly into my businesses. I started the agency in January. I left my 9 to 5 in May. Carson left for this job in the middle of May. So I was already scared because I just quit my job that had consistent income, had
Mhm.
benefits, had all the things to be an entrepreneur. And Carter is young and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a first-time parent. We don't who knows what
Nobody
they're
knows what
doing,
they're doing. I'm just gonna tell you a
right?
little secret, even if you're not a first-time parent.
Right. Who knows what we're doing? And then we got this yellow lab high energy dog that is going to be a hunting dog. So you have to do so much training with this dog. And I don't know what I'm doing. And
Mm,
then we don't have anyone here in town with us. Our families are 2.5 hours away. So it was just you're going where for how long? Type of situation. And there were definitely days, to be honest with you, where like I just kind of sat down in the shower and cried
mhm,
and had to be like, you know what? Like, it's okay to have these emotions. It's okay to feel kind of alone, quite honestly. But I knew that I had to keep at it and just keep doing what I had to do. I had to get up. I was getting up at 4 in the morning
mhm,
to work. And then when Carter woke up, I was full on attention mom mode where, okay, let's get out the door. Let's get to daycare. We got to daycare. And then I grinded at home and tried to keep everything going. Um, my house definitely wasn't the cleanest all summer. The laundry never really got kept up with, but the biggest thing is that for a while, I didn't think I was gonna be able to get through it and do it. First
mhm,
The first 2 months were tough, and now we're on month 7th of it, and I have the flow down, we got it down,
mm.
and we are just counting on the days till this project is done.
No, I can imagine. Well, one of the things that that I'm curious to hear more about is just so solo parenting, right? So obviously, having kids, being a working mom, trying to do all the things is a lot for anybody, and you are sort of in this in between spot where you're doing a lot of it on your own. You're not a single parent. Your husband is there. He's not around a lot of the days, right? And so I'm curious, like, what do you wish that more people knew about solo parenting, especially like in particular for somebody like you where you have a supportive partner, but you still feel like you're doing so much on your own.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is that you got it. Like there are days where it's gonna be tough and you're gonna feel alone, but you get through it. Carson is an amazing father. He's an amazing partner. We would FaceTime every night and chat. There's obviously going to be a little bit of a disconnect of like, oh my gosh, Carter like had such a bad day. He was screaming all day. And your partner maybe not understanding that because they're not there. So I can
Sure.
see where when you're in the moment and you're in it, you may feel unsupported, But the biggest thing is just to tell yourself, like, "You've got this." No one actually knows what they're doing raising kids, and
Mhm.
it's okay to just roll with the punches. If you have dinner at 8 p.m. one night, that's okay. At least you're eating. If you fall asleep on the couch because you finally got the kids down and you lay down to maybe have some you time, watch TV, scroll, whatever it is, and you fall asleep on the couch and you wake up a little late the next day, it's okay. Like, it's just okay, and that's what I had to learn because I am a very type A, everything has a place, let's stick on schedule, and I had to learn that it's okay that I'm not up at the second my alarm is going off. It's okay
Mhm.
that we're not out the door at the exact second that I had in my timeline in my head. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
So kind of letting go of this idea, letting go of like maybe any expectations that you had
Yeah,
before, letting go of this idea of, perfection, just sort of like embracing the imperfection, acknowledging that, you know, perfection does not exist, right? And to your point, like
absolutely.
it's all okay, right? People are still being fed, people are still, getting to sleep eventually, right?
Right.
It doesn't have to look perfect. So when your husband is away during the week, what would you say then are some of the hardest things that you personally have had to deal with?
Um, some of it's with the dog. So she's a high energy dog, and for a while, like she's a puppy. She would not listen. So mornings, I would say, were probably my toughest time because I'm I'm a morning person. I do my best work in my mornings, so I try to get up and get a lot of my work done in the mornings, but then that's also getting everyone out the door for the day as
Mhm.
well. So mornings, I feel like for anyone that has to get kids out the door, if you know that, you know that it like you break a little bit of a sweat trying to get out the door because you're getting everyone dressed. Um the dog would take off down the street. There were so many days where I was running in my pajamas down the street after the dog while I left Carter in the house, just, like, hoping he was okay and then having to, like, run back home, and, yeah, I think that was the hardest part is, like, trying to just maintain a healthy structure of it's okay that we're running a little bit behind, but also, like, I don't wanna be 2 hours late to daycare, and then
Mhm.
we are missing, like, the morning naps and the morning breakfast stuff and all of that,
And prime
so
time to do your work, right? Because you said that's when
right,
you feel the most productive and the most energized. Yeah, yeah, no,
right.
I get it. I actually have to laugh a little bit because, when you talk about breaking a little bit of a sweat, so I'm very much the same, right? Like, my kid, gotta get him out the door in the morning before I do all my work and everything, and I live in Central New York, and so these days, it's pretty chilly in the morning, like 27, 30, 32 degrees when we go out to the bus, and I a lot of times don't bring a jacket, and my neighbors are like, "Aren't you cold?" And I'm like, "This feels really good right now." Like, I'll go inside in a minute because it won't last long, but right now, like, I appreciate the chill, like, yeah, that running
Yes.
around, it does, it breaks a little bit of a sweat, so,
I do
anyways.
the same thing. We're at 20 degrees here in the mornings, and I am walking out in my t-shirt, and our daycare lady looks at me, I'm like, "I was sweating a minute ago."
If you know, you know. All right. Okay. So, one of the other things that I wanted to ask you about, so you mentioned that, since making this decision to move, you don't really have a huge support system. Have not quite built up that sense of community. So I'm curious, like, how did you find that this sense of isolation, not really having that support system, at least locally, how did that impact your mental and emotional well being?
Yeah, there were definitely days where, like, I would drop Carter off at daycare, lay there on the couch, and just be like, what am I doing right now? What am I doing in the sense of why am I here in South Dakota when I could be by my parents, my in-laws? What am I doing where I don't have consistent income coming in and I'm working these crazy hours to try to like build these businesses up? What am I doing? Like, just a lot of what am I doing? And it did put me I would definitely say it did put me in a little bit of, like, that depression set of, I'm alone
Ugh.
and I'm not feeling supported by, like, quite frankly, anyone, and it's just because I was so in my head of what? Like, what's going on? And a lot of the things that I have learned in this last 7 months of this transition of solo parenting during the week and then trying to, like, make up for a week's worth of absent in one weekend, basically. I do a lot of self-reflection now. I work on myself. Do a lot of manifestation. I do journaling, and I try to not get so in my head of the negative thoughts because that was the worst part. If I would not have figured out how to start to get my thoughts out on paper and work on myself mentally, I would have spiraled. Like, we would have been spiraling very bad. So I'm really grateful that I was able to find channels to get those negative thoughts out, but there were times where I, like, laid on the couch all day and I'm like, I can't do this anymore." Like, I'm sick of being alone.
Mhm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think I think that motherhood in general, there is this really big sense of isolation, right? I think a lot of times people feel very much alone in their experiences. And I think that, and then of course people do, they have varying degrees of support, and so moving to, a new place where maybe you don't feel like you have that. And I imagine that you have people a phone call away, but it's not the same as just, having them right there. So yeah, I can imagine that that was really difficult. But it sounds like you were able to kind of recognize and sort
Yeah.
of gain some awareness in terms of like what some of the things were that were really making it difficult and some of the things you needed to work on. And it sounds like you really kind of found some good like tools and strategies and things like that to kind of help you work through that and make it all more manageable for you.
Yes, absolutely, yep.
Well, and then what about boundaries, right? So because they're so important, we talk about boundaries all the time or things that were like non-negotiables. Like did you have to put any of those kinds of things in place to just sort of help you protect your time and your energy?
Yeah, I definitely had to put some boundaries up and, like, non-negotiables with business because for a while there, I mean, we were just starting, and I'm so thankful in the growth that my agency has had. We are booked and busy, but there was a time where I was at the dinner table doing emails and working, and I had to finally put a boundary up with not only my clients, but my staff as well, and just say, "After 5:30, I am unavailable. If you
Mhm.
get a text from me at 9 PM, that means Carter is in bed and I can be working again, but for those hours, I cannot have computers open, phones are in the bedroom, and, like, we just can't do that." So that was a big boundary, and once I made that change, I definitely could tell, like, even my stress levels came down, and then in regards to, like, family stuff, I don't know if I would consider it maybe a boundary, but we more so said, "Saturdays are our days." Like, do not bother us on Saturday because that is the time for the 3 of us to bond and be a family for 1 day out of the week, basically. So, that was a big boundary too. We didn't see as much of our, like, extended family this summer because we needed to have time for just the 3 of us to be
Mhm.
family again.
Yeah, no, that's and I would absolutely say that that's a boundary, right? That's a really important boundary and it's something that I think I think boundaries are difficult for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons, but I think that that's really great that you are taking that time to prioritize yourself and your family. I mean, because our families need it and they're important too,
Yeah.
right? So, and it can be really easy when we don't establish those boundaries to slowly start to see that time, you know, disappear, right, towards other things. So, but it sounds like that's something that you have sort of just decided like Saturday is our day and you're really firm with it. And it sounds like it's worked out for you.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. So now you obviously, you've talked a little bit about, this business, running the virtual assistant agency. And you talked about being, really successful, being super busy. So that's awesome. So, I imagine that you use a lot of things there to help with all of that. So I'm curious, like, one of the things that a lot of moms really struggle with is this idea that they have to do everything themselves. And so one of the things that we talk about a lot is the importance of delegation. And so I'm curious, like, based on your experiences running this agency, what are some time saving or delegation tips that you think could be helpful for other busy moms who are looking to lighten their loads a bit?
Yeah, I have to laugh a little bit because, yeah, it really that is I think that's every mom's struggle is how
Mhm.
do we get some of this, especially mental load too. Like, it
Yeah.
is. It's all of it, not even just tasks, it's mental load too. The biggest thing that I've learned in this last year of having to start to delegate things is, one, when like, your partner has the kids and you tell them a great example is, like, get ready. Get them
Mhm.
ready for the day.
Mhm.
If they're asking, "Well, where's the shoes? Where's the socks? Where's the clothes?"
Mhm.
I just look at Carson with respect and I say, "You gotta just shut the door and
Mhm.
you gotta find it. There was no guide for me. You
Mhm.
gotta find it." And it's okay to say that. It's okay to be like, "You know what? You gotta just figure it out." The other things are, like, the big thing that I actually noticed is the minute I put my phone in the bedroom when I got at 5:30, it goes in our bedroom, and that does not come out until Carter's in bed.
Mhm.
That you get a lot done without those phones and, like, no TV on. So, the biggest thing that I tell people is just put your phone down for 2 weeks and see how much time you actually have because it is it is a lot of you don't realize how much picking up your phone to just check a message or pick your phone up because you saw this notification comes in distracts you and pulls you away from things. Now, that might not be very helpful to, like, delegate things, but it does definitely, like, put you more present in your
Mhm.
life, and it puts you in a position to have a little bit more time to either do things
Mhm.
or to just be present with your family.
Well, and yeah, and to your point, I mean, that's maybe it's not delegation specifically, but it is a time saving strategy because, yeah, our phones, they do take up that time. I mean, a lot of times we don't really think about or really realize just how much time we lose. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, you could spend a minute here, 2 minutes there, 5 minutes there, and it might not seem like a big deal. But if you add all that time up during the day, that can become quite a bit. So, yeah, no, absolutely our phones can be very distracting. And to your point, like sometimes we just have to put strategies in place where we're not tempted, right? So you put yours in the other room. I mean, mine, like I'm a therapist, so I have my phone with me all the time, but I have them do not disturb because I don't want people texting
Right.
or calling me during my sessions, right? But yeah, but without having that distraction, you can really just like focus on what it is that you need to be doing. So yeah, so that makes sense. So you have said before that really family, it's at the heart of everything that you do. So what do you feel like that looks like for you personally when your life gets especially busy and chaotic?
Yeah. I because I surround myself with everyone that kind of has similar beliefs in that aspect of family comes first, when work gets insane and we have 15 million projects, it feels like, all due on the same day, and then you're putting out a fire at the same time. Like, it's nice that in my aspect, every one of my staff are also moms. So if I see one of them struggling or they see me having a hard day, we can sit down and just talk about it for a little bit and just be like, "Oh my gosh, like I couldn't get Carter to brush his teeth today." And it was like a 10-minute struggle of this. Like that's so nice that I like set that up. But in the aspect of family too, I just look at my family at the end of the day and I'm like, "This is what I'm doing this all for." I love them so much, and I just being with them makes me happy, so at the end of the day, I get a hug from Carson if he's home, and we just take a deep breath if it was a tough day, and we say, "Let's just go play for a little bit," and that's all I need.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And just sort of, it sounds like really just sort of reminding yourself and focusing on your whys, right? Why you do all of this. And I think that that's something that's so important for us to continuously come back to because life does get really hard. A lot of times we might get frustrated or resentful and wonder, and it can be incredibly helpful just to sort of come back and remind ourselves, yes, but and this is why, right? This is the value. This is what's really important to me. So yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. So for the moms who are listening and feel very alone right now, because I really think that this is something that so many moms unfortunately struggle with, what would you say to them? The ones specifically who feel like no one just really truly gets what they're juggling, what they're going through.
Yeah. I think first I would say, "You've got this. You're doing a great job." I think all moms need to hear that on a weekly basis. You're
Hmm.
doing a good job, and I know when I started feeling really alone, I started looking for outlets on, like, how can I make mom friends? And a great spot is to see if you can find any mom networking groups.
Hmm.
Uh, we started one because me and my business partner for Little Legends, we as much as we are very close intertwined, we talk multiple times a day. We both have kids, though, we live in different states, and it's tough to make mom friends, and it's tough to, like, understand. I don't think anyone understands a mom unless you are a mom. You don't get
Hmm.
it unless you're in that, and, just finding a little bit of community goes a long way, so finding a networking group or finding a Facebook group where you can just type questions in and be like, "Is this normal?" Or, "Oh my gosh, like, I really had a hard day," and finding that is important, but just know you're doing a good job.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and to your point, I mean, I think that there are so many good, well intentioned, supportive people out there, but it's just there's something about getting that support specifically from people who have been through it themselves, who can relate, who really, really just get it on an entirely new level, right? And so making the effort to not just build supports with anybody, but really specifically like those moms. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So before we kind of start to wrap up for today, I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you are busy as well, just like all the other moms, right? So where can listeners, if they go to learn more about you and your work?
Yeah, we are on Facebook and Instagram. You guys can follow my personal page at Ashley Bandemer. Um, the agency is the Bandemer Agency, and then Little Legends is just Little Legends on all platforms. We do mom groups once a month for networking. It's literally just going in there. We talk about wins of the month. If you got your kid to go potty in the potty, let's celebrate it.
That is
If
a big win.
you if your kid's going through a sleep regression, bring it to us. Have people give you advice on what they did. That I think is the biggest support system that I've found are those networking groups that we've started. So, if you're a mom and you just need some support, check out Little Legends page. All the links are in there for the networking group, and yeah.
Are those networking groups, are those online then? Are they in
Yeah,
person
we
for
have
real?
them on Eventbrite. You can just look up Little Legends, or if you look up Mom Group, I know some people have found them through Mom Group as
Okay.
well. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, but again, so that they don't have to be local to you, just
No,
anybody can
no,
join
no.
them.
Yep, they're all, on Zoom. So and we
Okay.
don't make people put their cameras on. People have, and we've had moms nursing, we've had moms with boys going across back and forth on the couch behind them, and come as your true form of self, and
Mhm.
we're here to just support, so
Okay, awesome. So, as always, I will make sure that that information is included in the show notes for anybody who is interested in learning more about Ashley or learning more about, those groups. So before we wrap up, if you could leave the listeners with one final message, one final piece of advice, what would it be?
yeah, you've got this. No one knows what they're doing. and go out and try to be the best version of yourself every day, whether that's you being a good business person, you being a good mom, you just getting out of bed one day. Like, it just try to be the best version of yourself every day.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you again, so much for being here. I really do appreciate, you taking the time. And as always, for the moms listening, if any of this resonates, if you found any of these things to be helpful, please share this podcast with other moms that you think could use some additional support because we are all in this together.
Yes.